The dim glow of a flickering bulb reveals a simple truth: every great manipulation begins small. Before control is taken, trust must be earned. This is not force, it is gentle persuasion, disguised as innocence, executed with surgical precision. That first, small favor, is the spark that sets the mind ablaze with compliance. Psychologists call it the foot-in-the-door technique, an artful dance between consent and coercion. Ask for something trivial today, and the door to obedience gently creaks open. Tomorrow, a greater request slides unnoticed into your comfort zone. The human brain, eager to be consistent, never realizes the cage it's constructing. Imagine a salesman asking you to sign a harmless petition. You hesitate, yet you agree. It feels moral, small, safe. Days later, that same man knocks again, now requesting a donation, a commitment, a pledge. The earlier yes sets a psychological trap, chaining your future decisions to your past compliance. The power of this method lies in the illusion of autonomy. You believe you're making independent choices, yet every step is pre-engineered, every answer predicted. Dark psychology feeds on ego, convincing you that you remain in control even as the strings tighten around your judgment. In the cold corridors of behavioral science, experiments revealed how mere agreement can spiral into total compliance. Ask subjects to place a small sign on their lawn. Later, they consent to giant banners screaming messages they once dismissed. The transformation feels voluntary, but the mind has been conditioned. The essence of manipulation is rhythm, small steps leading to surrender. The manipulator does not rush. They whisper, they nudge, they let silence do the work. Soon, every rational thought bends around a singular illusion: this choice was mine. From corporate negotiations to political campaigns, the tactic thrives under the cloak of persuasion. A free trial, a harmless survey, a signature for a cause, each tiny yes marks a foot wedged deeper into the human psyche. The victim smiles, unaware of the progression toward obedience. Every cult begins not with compulsion but with kindness. The leader invites with compassion, asks for minor participation, a meeting, a donation, a song. By the time the follower surrenders everything, they no longer see it as submission. It feels like loyalty, but it is enslavement crafted in slow increments. Consistency, the master key to psychological control. Humans crave to perceive themselves as stable and reasonable. When an initial action defines identity, every future decision bends to protect it. The manipulator becomes invisible, your own self-image becomes the jailer. In bright marketing agencies, teams study these principles under fluorescent lights. They call it consumer psychology, not manipulation. Each advertisement starts small: a like, a follow, a share. Yet behind the screens, an invisible script of control is unfolding click by click. The brain's resistance weakens not through pressure, but through repetition. Every micro yes becomes a brick in the wall of compliance. The manipulator smiles as you build your own prison with polite, reasonable decisions. What feels like freedom is simply guided behavior. Even governments weaponize this tactic in subtle campaigns, moving public sentiment inch by inch. First, accept the minor restriction, then tolerate the heavier hand. The formula remains timeless: small agreements baking into collective obedience under the comforting illusion of civic duty. Inside personal relationships, the tactic becomes hauntingly intimate. A lover asks a small favor, a minor sacrifice. The request grows gradually, quietly eroding boundaries. What began as affection evolves into control, the warmth of connection masking the chill of domination. Social media amplifies this ancient strategy at scale. The first notification creates a simple agreement: your attention. Each tap tightens the algorithm's grip. Soon, content shapes your beliefs, and your next scroll feels like free will, though it's already been engineered. The real horror lies not in exploitation but in familiarity. It works because it feels normal, courteous even. The manipulator never asks too much at once, they whisper instead of shout. Compliance thrives in comfort, not fear. A study in the 1960s showed volunteers agreeing to increasingly immoral tasks after saying yes to simple ones. They told themselves it was logical, harmless progression. But step by step, morality collapsed under the weight of consistency. The final obedience came wrapped in self-justification. Salesmen mastered it decades ago. A friendly question, a compliment, a trivial request, each opens the emotional gate. Once the threshold is crossed, resistance calcifies into habit. By the final sale, the buyer feels victorious, unaware of the invisible choreography controlling every answer. Imagine walking into a dark room and switching on a single light. That moment of decision, that first yes, seems insignificant. Yet as each bulb flares on, you can no longer tolerate darkness. You are invested now, committed to illumination even if it blinds you. The manipulator studies patience like a surgeon studies anatomy. They learn where your defenses weaken, how your ethics rationalize. Their art is not in lying, it is in guiding you to lie to yourself. That self-deception is the purest form of control. In boardrooms, negotiators use micro-commitments, verbal nods, affirming gestures, to pace agreement. Each acknowledgement builds rapport, each smile lowers the guard. By the final contract signing, they no longer need persuasion, momentum has already decided for you. The dark beauty of this tactic lies in reciprocity's shadow. Say yes once, and you subconsciously crave to stay congruent. You will defend your past actions more fiercely than your present beliefs. The manipulator doesn't break you, they let you trap yourself. Every online subscription thrives on this model. Free entry, optional upgrade, mandatory loyalty. Over time, comfort turns into obligation. The process feels organic, but it's meticulously engineered to bypass rational scrutiny and directly bind emotional consistency. The most chilling aspect is its invisibility. There's no threat, no shout, no confrontation. Just subtle repetition of choices that seem reasonable. The human mind rarely questions its own sequence of voluntary actions, that is the manipulator's victory. Tactic manipulates identity, not decision. Once the first choice becomes part of who you are, every new compliance feels necessary to remain coherent. The more you say yes, the more painful it becomes to ever say no. Behind each act of obedience lies a small seed, the memory of agreeing once. Like ripples across water, that first compliance shapes every reflection afterward. What seems like independent behavior is merely a continuation of that original wave. Leaders, influencers, and corporations harness this subtle persuasion to control narrative. They guide public thought through staged microagreements. Debate becomes impossible when belief feels self-determined. The foot in the door becomes a gate to collective conformity. Even education employs it, gently steering thought from curiosity to structure. Question after question, authority replaces exploration. Students learn obedience disguised as learning progression. The pattern rewires how societies sustain discipline under the banner of reason. The tactic thrives in context, never chaos. It requires a calm setting, familiarity, safety. Only in tranquility do we ignore the encroaching manipulation creeping toward domination. Fear awakens resistance, comfort numbs it. Small requests cloak sinister motives. The first yes always seems harmless, pure even. Yet every manipulator measures success not by that answer, but by how it reshapes your self-perception. The act of obedience evolves from external to internal. By the time realization dawns, the door is no longer ajar, it's wide open. You stand in its frame, smiling, unaware of how deep inside you've already walked. The manipulator doesn't push, they simply wait for you to close it behind yourself. Dark psychology does not beg or scream, it whispers logic. It cloaks control in rationality, transforming coercion into conversation. Once that dynamic is set, resistance feels irrational. You won't fight what feels like your own decision. Understanding this tactic is the first defense against it. Observe the small asks that precede the large, the consistency appeals that follow. Every manipulator depends on your unawareness, your eagerness to seem reasonable. Question the small yes, for it conceals the large surrender. So next time someone asks for just one tiny favor, pause. Listen to the tone, the pacing, the subtle familiarity. Ask yourself, is this request about action or control? Every manipulator hides behind words that sound harmless until the door quietly closes behind you. The foot in the door tactic remains humanity's quietest predator, invisible, polite, relentless. It doesn't demand things, it breeds them. Remember, control rarely looks like chains, it often smiles, offers help, and asks for just one small yes.